Welcome to the DGD podcast. As always, Robert Reynolds and Juan Daniel. First off, let's go ahead and get brought to you to this show. Today's show brought to you by Alumni Hall, where they are on camp or 10 minutes from campus in Athens. Check them out. They got Buck, Columbia, you name it, they've got it. Check them out, alumnihall.com, or like I said, in Athens as well. Also brought to you by BetUS, folks. We do our Wednesday pick, BetUS. Check them out. Check our website, dgdpodcast.com. Some bonus for the matter as well. Juan, there was a game Saturday, but I think a lot of people are still questioning. There were some imposters. Obviously, if you're not familiar, Georgia 39-22 was the final. Sloppy game, nicely. But I think there are some key takeaways that we can grow from a little bit. But first one, I want to get your opinions here. What were your overall takeaways, or Saturday, excuse me?
You're going to have sloppy games. You're going to have, games that Kent State is a good football team. And Kirby even said that even before the game, even a good football team. So for Georgia to play sloppy and still be, and it was convincing. So it wasn't like it was a close or we had to just come back at the end. When they played Texas, who, they lost their first string quarterback, he, came out and did what they're supposed to do. The bottom line, there's no injuries. We escaped that without any injuries. We're still the number one team. And, when it's, having an opportunity to show who we are with 3 turnovers, we were still able to be successful.
I think everybody wants to look, even outside of the Georgia, people are still wondering, right? Like, Georgia had a struggle win, right? I've heard, and people were talking about the struggle win, and I'm sitting here looking at it, and I'm like, how? I'm sitting here looking at it in a sense like, this was our one game where we look like everybody, And listen, I think honestly though, we needed this game more than people realize, right? Because I'm telling you right now, had you called me, my tone and my approach to how I'm answering this is going to be completely different. That obviously had to take the emotion out of it. But looking at it though, right? There's a lot learned and can grow from. Kirby Smart mentioned that in the press conference post game. Hearing that, what, like, Juan, from your experience with these kind of outside of, I don't want to hear coach speak, I guess, what can Georgia, what can we take away from this moving forward for the rest of the season?
It's overcoming adversity. Anytime that you turn the ball over 3 times, or disaster, it really is. And so you go and you look historically, teams that have turned them, they don't do that well, and they struggle, and they were able to overcome adversity. McConkey did not have the best game, but lose faith in McConkey? Absolutely not. Those are just things that are just happening. So when we respond, and I think that our response to how things went, it was great. Close game. There was never really a time where it was really in jeopardy. I mean, it was 19-13 at time, but there was never a situation in which you just kind of felt like this, like these other teams have had. I mean, you sit there and look at Oklahoma losing to people that are struggling, like that really struggle, and I don't see us doing some bad things happen. We overcame, and then we still were able to put a lot of points on the board.
I'm looking at it, looking around the scope of college football, right? We look at a lot of teams fell Saturday. I think there's an Amber Alert. The team was last seen leaving Hard Rock Stadium, and it zoomed to look like the Miami Hurricanes bus. They're missing, right? Miami is missing. Whipping they took to Middle Tennessee State at that, right? You look at Texas, right? Albeit in conference play, but at the same time, that's two falling. And I think you're looking at the whole scope of the world of college football is a lot of parity, right? And to me, Juan, if this rings in, it has this 2007 feel, right? It has a 2007 feel. If you're a fan of college football, right? Let's take our Georgia hats off for a second. You're a large football fan because it creates a bunch of exciting football, right? Who in their right mind would think that Kansas is 4-0, 4-0? Rank them, AP poll. Rank them. Obviously you got big matchups this week that will help out. In right. There's just there's a lot to look forward to. But it's interesting struggling, right? You look at, I don't know if you saw Oregon. Oregon comes back late. USC survived on an interception with I think it was Oregon. Oregon State was driving the ball
Oregon
and then
State,
they get a pick.
Yeah, it was Oregon State,
Yeah.
And then you had
so you're
struggling against Wake Forest.
Yeah, I think that was a confidence building game for DJU. But listen, I think you're going in NC State that's going to have a better defense than Wake Forest. So it's going to be interesting. Best football is yet to be played, for that matter, too. But at the same time, you talked about these interesting matchups, teams falling, right? But let's be honest, right? Georgia, every year you're looking at a situation where Deep South owns something, right? The only thing that it could mean this year is harsh after the game. It could mean that, right? Look at it, years of frustration out, beats Florida, right? It's very to be a college football fan. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Or no?
You look at Missouri. Missouri, I mean, it was unfortunate. The quarterback for Missouri ran on this over with. We won, and the guy misses it. And then in overtime, the running back is been in the game and fumbles it right before, right before. So
right at the goal line too. Right at the goal line. A lot of good
close games. This team, you would have thought, if I were a betting man, I would have bet the house on this game. Completely goes the opposite. And even look at Arkansas. Like I did not expect to Texas A&M after Texas A&M, lost that game early this year. Arkansas blew it. They had an opportunity to kick a field goal and you win the game and you miss it. It's a lot of parity going on.
Juan, we're going to call that Arkansas kick the oink doink, because I've never seen of the goalpost. Not the goalpost, the top of the goalpost and come back.
And then bounce
labeled
straight
as the
back.
Oink doink. Yeah, the oink doink is what I'm going to call it. But listen, I'll tell you right now, I don't like A&M at all. But A-Chain, that boy's good. That boy's quick.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about this though. I always hear one. South Florida speed. Go talk to a Miami fan, and they'll bring that up at least twice. Right? South Florida speed. Facts were, but boy, they were getting cooked like like a Sunday dinner.
Yeah, they were.
It was bad. I don't know if you saw saw that game, there was one.
No, I didn't get
play.
I didn't get a chance to see it.
Well, the DB for Miami was playing soft coverage, and the receiver still just flat out ran back, hit him in stride, and then he just separates from the DBs running as fast.
I think that was the 98-yard touchdown. I saw
that. Yeah. Boy, was. But ultimately, what we're trying to do is, right, like, we're having some fun at other teams' expenses, and I'm all. But it just proves that Saturday's game against Kent State, we're going to tie this back to Georgia here, right? Like Kirby said, we needed that, right? His initial post-game conference, we needed that. Those were his first words out of his mouth. And he couldn't be more right. I want to transfer this. Since you're a receiver, Juan, I think it's kind of really inarguable. Ladd McConkey had a down day Saturday. From your perspective, when you have one of those days, what are some thoughts? What are some things for you to do as a receiver to get out of that? He went through a little slump, and I even tweeted this out that, listen, basically the analogy, right? If you're at bat, and you're a hitter, right, and you're in a slump, just not swing the bat to get out of the slump. You got to keep swinging, right? It's like a shooter. That kind of analogy, and you kind of saw it come to fruition in the second half. First half really kind of dampened the day for Ladd McConkey. Anybody that has that kind of day, what are your thoughts and things like that when you have?
I mean, it's psychological, honestly. It becomes I dropped the first pass. I've got to focus so hard to make sure I catch. Your focus is so hard that you actually end up dropping it, or you and that kind of sets the tone for your day, and then you fumble another one, and then that kind of sets it. And so you just kind of have to just let it go, and it's a wash. I fumbled the ball, and you're just kind of like, I don't know what else to do here. You're just kind of like, don't even throw me the ball. You're in the huddle, and you hear like a play that the ball is, oh my gosh, like, am I going to catch this? Because you don't want to continuously make mistakes, and at the same time, you have to psychologically just overcome that. And they throw me the ball again, I'm going to catch it this time, or I'm going to make every dang effort to catch. Then you just have to, like they just say, you just have to have a short memory. Have a short memory, let it go. It's tough.
It's like a DB. You have to have a fan there. But I feel like at times, like, it can get difficult. Right? Like, I mean, Kirby had mentioned that, like, he wasn't necessarily mad about the pick. He was more upset about the punt, right? Because that was a decision. That was a choice.
Yep.
So going right where both guys are going. But I think at the same time, like, if you really take those moments and you really slow it down and look at it, you see a coach, right? You'll probably see some choice words, but I guarantee you it's in the intent, right? Get him to understand, hey, I love you still, right? But you gotta think for the team, because that kind of looked like he was ready to try to break off a big run, and then he must it, right? So at the same time, on Ladd's part, you see a coachable athlete saying yes, understand it, and then in the second half, you come out, you start making some plays. You're going to need Ladd against Missouri. I mean, Missouri is probably the worst team but it's the SEC.
Yeah.
You have to let that go. You have to, because your team needs you, right? So don't get hung up on it. I mean, unless you're Brock Bowers, which we'll talk about that in just a second. I mean, but a day to forget, if you will, right? Let's just hope that game is the worst of the season yet to come. I think that's the case. We'll see, though. but at the same time, some coachable moments. And I think ultimately you can look at this team and say, hey, listen, we're not perfect. I can tell you that you're the next, you're the Death Star. You're whatever. You're this. You're Burns. Shout out to Peter Burns calling us basically making a take team you'll ever see, arguably. Let's pump the brakes on that, right? I'm not saying they're not good. They're a great team, but they're still true. They're young. Some of these guys are inexperienced. So I'm glad moment, if you will, because I think we needed that to keep us one in check. Ego. Hey, listen, you can be beat, so now you're focused heading into SEC play, because SEC play, this is when it truly, truly matters. Would that make?
Yeah, you're right.
So I see in the brigade here, Dog Day looks. Welcome to the day is at a point where they can play poorly and still beat teams by 3 scores. It's in a positive light too. I think you have to take that into context. If this is a struggle and you're still beating the team by 3 scores, what does that say moving forward? Probably better than Auburn and Missouri, at least. Maybe even Vanderbilt. Trying to be bluntly honest, I think that's what's going to happen. We'll see it.
That's a great point. It's a great point.
Apparently, we have some hackers or something, because apparently Joel says we can only. Outstanding, folks. Outstanding. This might ask Oregon, who is currently number 13, what a focused UGA looks like, by the way. What's up, Ducati? Field of Streams. Check them out, folks. Check them out. B says, Joe, glad you said that. I just thought it was me. Yeah, so difficulty. So if you're watching and or listening on the podcast, our apologies. It's just been one. Let's transition over to the ball. What were your takeaways from the defense? I'm trying to make some positives and some negatives, right? I think one of my main things was we didn't play Jalen Carter, and I think it showed. And that's my main takeaway. But give me your thoughts on the defensive performance Saturday.
We had some breakdowns. I mean, they took a screen, and that was just bad positioning. And I just think that we know you got a Kent State team that they had nothing to lose. Obviously, they got a pretty nice big payday. We're trying to exercise some things, and they were trying to get to a point where they wanted to make some plays. Kind of got caught slipping, so to speak.
I mean, I think you're absolutely right. I think, it was Lassiter. That was Lassiter that had basically moved inside. He tried to go inside and then went out, right? I think you want to, in my opinion, I think as a DB, you want to keep them in. So, my thought is, right, I think we need to contain better, right? The DBs need to keep these guys, force them back inside. Hey, Juan, are you there, sir?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. All right, folks, we fixed this issue, I believe. Let's see if that works, shall we? Can everybody hear me now in the chat? Can everyone hear me? Let's see if everybody can hear me. Juan, you can hear me, correct? We're doing some in-show audibles here, folks. Audibles in show during the show, right?
I can hear you very well.
Awesome. Listen to this. Look at this. My thoughts about the defense, right? I think I saw in the comments as well. Michael Williams not there too much. Listen, but at the same time,
there's a lot of growth here, right? Because you look at Bear Alexander. Bear Alexander got a ton of playing time, right? And that's only going to do good things for us moving down the line, in my opinion. I think you need these guys, as defensive linemen, to get the reps, right? And like you said, ultimately, come out healthy, right? That's the key. Coming out healthy could be more important than our performance at all, right? We got the win. We won 17 points, but you came out healthy, right? Keep in mind we didn't have A.D. Mitchell, right? Like all these things. But at the same time, you come back and you look into Missouri, and I'm telling you right now, I know we said that it was our preview for this game was kind of subpar, right? We overlooked it. I think all of Georgia overlooked Kent State. I'm just going to leave that there for you. Because, you know, my exact words, my exact preview for this game on Wednesday was a massacre. That's it. That was far from the truth. Far from the truth. So with that being said, I think now, you know, even from a fan's perspective, we'll still have to take these games seriously. I'm just going to leave it there. But anyways, you know, like I'm curious to see, right? Get Mike Hill back into the fold. Jalen Carter getting healthy. A.D. Mitchell. I think A.D. I'm telling you right now, another name that we might have forgotten about is Arian Smith. I cannot wait to get him healthy. I cannot wait, because if all things are considered, Juan, what we saw Saturday with the misconnection, right? The incompletions on the deep balls, right? Overthrowing deep balls. I think Arian Smith eliminates that issue. Is that fair to assume that would be the case?
Hands down. Because that's, you know, Arian Smith will be the fastest. He probably has to come back for those.
You know, I think, Juan, you might have to come back on a couple too. Wait.
That.
Now, you know, looking at it though, my thoughts on this too, I think there are some concerns for me, but they're not like terrible concerns. I do think that we have to get it situated though. One, I think you look at red zone opportunities. You have to convert those to touchdowns, especially when you play the likes of Tennessee and Florida, Kentucky, right? Listen, Tennessee and Kentucky are both top 10 schools right now, folks. You have to take them seriously. Tennessee just coming off of a win at home against Florida. Listen, I know Florida came back, but Tennessee finally got that burden off the back. So they're playing loose too, right? They're playing loose too. You know, I think you got to worry. I think you have to convert these touchdowns. You have to convert to touchdowns. Can't leave with 3 on the board. You have to get 6 or 7, right? You have to do that, especially if you have playoff implications and national title. Because when you go to a team, and I guarantee you'll probably see a team like Bama or, you know, in Atlanta, you could see, right, Ohio State or whatever, where you're probably going to have to score, right? You're going to have to score. You have to score from the red zone. That's the biggest thing to me. You have to do that. But at the same time, you've got to start hitting these deep passes, right? Because those explosives create so much chaos and havoc on the opposing defense, because you can sit there and you can rush the play, right? You have a play called and you sit there and you put them on their heels and you can just take advantage and strike, right? If Georgia starts connecting with these deep balls, and it's coming, folks, it's coming. When we start connecting with these deep passes, it's a wrap. That's all I'm going to say. It's just, you're literally about to start the car. You just need that one extra boost, right? You see what I mean? And once you get that, it's a wrap. You're driving in the Ferrari. Do you have any concerns on this team through 4 games? And if so, explain.
No, I don't. If there were going to be a concern, if Georgia just struggled all day, but again, for us to not have our best day and still win, but I think that's pretty good. I think that's really good, and it just shows just kind of who we are. The Tennessees or the Kentuckys, yeah, are good football teams. And before, but guess what? They were playing pretty dang good last year. And he was just, I mean, Levis, he had them on top of the world. Same thing with Hendon Hooker. I mean, we're on, Hypo had those guys hitting on all cylinders and then get to the Dawgs. And so for those that talk about, oh, well, we lost so much and our defense are just as hungry. They have so much to prove. And again, I don't even, this past weekend as a slip up or a down game. Again, if you actually person and you look at the body of work and everything that's happened, if you take an Alabama when they play Texas, or you take all these teams and you turn the ball over, let's see what you're able to do. And I can promise you right now, if Alabama is 3 times like that they would not be winning by 3 scores. Georgia can do that.
I'm also thinking about that too. Like, it's nice to have an offense that even when we're playing down, we're still way more efficient than we would expect. Because when you look back at 2019 one, it was our curse, man. Like, our offense was so abysmal that when, if our defense gave up any points, like any more than a certain amount of points, like, we were doomed. Like, there was a very doom and gloom feel over that game. You look at 2019 South Carolina was the perfect example. 3 turnovers, albeit different fashions. 3 turnovers, and we lose the game, right? You play bad and you lose the game. You don't see that. You see how much change we've had in just 3 years, because a game with 3 turnovers, right? Sloppy play on offense. Defense starts to show some cracks. Even though I know it's a different opponent, you go from losing that game to winning by 17. That just shows me that we're in a better spot now, and we're fortunate to be in that spot, in my opinion. I'm going to reach out. Ducati asks, what kind of timetable are we looking at for Arian? Yeah, I think Michael B said it perfectly here. Kirby said that Arian was farther along than AD, so not sure if it's legit or coach speak. It sounds like both of them could play this week. Listen, I still think, in my opinion, I want to see AD back out there. I do. I just really want to see Arian Smith too. I really do. I really want to see Arian Smith get out on the field and just break out a play. Juan, I do want to ask you a question. We haven't talked about the man of the hour, Brock Bowers, yet too much. How scary is it if you're an opposing defense to see a tight end get a jet sweep from their 25-yard line and take it 75 yards to the house? How do you game plan against that?
You can't. I mean, it's very difficult to cover. And you see too in the game before with him, and he just goes up there, just jumps over the guy and then catches it. He consider him like a baby Gronk with outstanding speed. Great blocker. I think we talked about it too when they played against Oregon, and Ladd came around on that reverse. See Brock Bowers just drive his guy into like row 6. So he is the player that Georgia has on the football field right now, and he's just, what do you do? What do you do with that? What do you do? That's crazy.
Not much. You just, I'm sitting here looking at it, right? Like, you're watching the first game or the first drive or whatever, right? And we missed a deep pass, and you're like, well, damn. And then out of the blue, like, it's almost like you didn't expect it, right? Because I was expecting like a run or play action out of the run. And then you see Bowers have it. You're like, wait, that's our goal line play. What's going on? And then he's just like, outruns the angles, and you're like, no way. And he's gone. And it's just like, Todd Monken, you dirty dog, you, man. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think nobody up until that point would expect that play to be ran anywhere but the goal line, right? Like, anywhere but the goal line. And then you run it on your own 25-yard line to start the game and score on it, you're like, what?
Yeah.
Because that was, well, I wouldn't say it's like fool's gold, but like, that play made me feel when I saw that second play, and I was just like, oh, it's about to get ugly. But it got ugly in a different way, right? A little bit. But it was just one of those things where you're like, if this man, like, I know we've had our Stetson for Heisman talk, like, at what point do we start to, like, literally start to question if there's a chance that you could see Brock in there? Like, you talk about we know it's just, listen, we know the political background to this, right? Like, it's a stat-driven award, right? Like, it's not your MVP, if that makes sense, right? It's not your most important player on the best team, right? Because, in my opinion, Brock Bowers is the best player in the country. Like, at least he's on the Georgia team, right? So he's the best player on the best team. You have to take that into context. But then you also hear some people that vote literally went out on record and said, I'm not voting for anyone except the quarterback. And it's like, how stupid does that sound, right? Like,
very
how stupid
extremely.
Because you look at Devontae Smith, and I know we're gonna quickly touch on this because I don't want to talk to Bama like this. But listen, there was no doubt that Devontae Smith was the best player in college football that year, right? There wasn't. But you're telling me that you're still going to vote a quarterback when it was blatantly obvious that he was the best player. He was just that much better, right? I'm glad he won the Heisman, right?
Yeah.
Because he deserved it. So, obviously you have that. But like I said, the Heisman situation, man, like, I do not like the fact that it's a quarterback award as is, proclaimed, because there's there's the other quarterback trophies for that, man. Like, you want a quarterback trophy, that's it.
Yep.
That's your max.
Right? Yeah, or your Davey O'Brien. Take
your Davey O'Brien, that's it. Sorry, Maxwell's best player. But I mean, you see where I'm going with it though, right? Like, Brock Bowers is about as important to this team than anybody else. And I don't think it's at this point we're starting to separate through 4 games and seeing that it's not even getting close. Like, his versatility, his athletic ability, all this stuff, like, is just doing things that we haven't seen from his position. Because I don't care who you are, did anyone expect Brock Bowers when he came in to be running jet sweeps for touchdowns?
Nope.
From the tight end position, folks. Nope. Not even Georgia fans saw that coming to start. So keep that in mind. This dude has literally against South Carolina the back though. And obviously, listen, we got him for a whole another year after this. So for me, I think there's a good chance that you can see him get close. Do I see him winning it? No, but I think there should be some discussion at least, and especially if things play out throughout the season the way it could.
Yeah.
I think you have. If Georgia starts, like, if we're clicking and gelling like that, and he's a huge part of it like he was last year, I think you have to have that discussion to at least be a finalist or close to it.
Agreed.
Juan, I know that might make you excited to see a Georgia receiver, whether it be tight end or receiver, be in those kind of talks. That's.
Oh yeah.
You got to be careful there, man. And honestly, 3 years, like, listen, we're looking at it, man. That top 10 ranking, if he keeps it up,
I'm not worried about. They rotate too much.
I see what you. Okay.
As long as all that rotating and all that going on, I'm fine. I'll still be in the top 10 from here. So I'm good.
Look at that. I like the confidence. You know what? Hey, Juan, I heard you. COVID year, man. You might get lucky. You might get lucky and get that extra year. I mean, it would be interesting because I think there was a video. I think was it the Pickens video when I was like, Juan, you still got that in you?
Oh yeah, I can definitely do that. I'd have to land on like a mattress or land in a pool or something like that, or a trampoline.
I'd pull something. I'd pull something. I'd probably pull something in my back right here. Try to reach out and extend, I'd pull something. Be like, oh, I'm out, coach. Sit me down. I'm hurt.
Yes, sir.
But overall, right, let's just do our final takeaways on this game. What would your – okay, before we jump to that, Joel says, prove it.
I just did it.
Crack. Get my man some Bayer. He needs it.
Yeah.
You know what, Juan? We didn't mention this. The brigade hasn't came out making Juan laugh again today. I'm surprised we haven't seen people come in hot and heavy on that so far. Maybe there's a little bit of time left, but so far Juan's handling this like a champ.
I've matured.
Listen, he's matured. All right, listen, he's proven Joel wrong right now. He still got it. I guarantee you got that 4.7, 4.8 speed probably.
I'd say more like 5.3, but that's
Oh, okay. Damn, I was hyping that up a little bit.
Yeah.
That might be the college numbers then, I guess.
Right.
Hey, Kirby gets you down to shit. Kirby gets you back into speed.
Yeah, he could. But as defensive back, I can beat him any day, so I'm not worried about that.
Man, we're gonna have to clip this and tag him in this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's worth it. Now, I will say this though, I want to get your opinion because you have played with him before, right? Like when you see games like this, right? Obviously I feel like we're kind of pampered in a sense where we've seen so much excellent football over the past year and a half that some people kind of forget what it's like to have these gut check moments. From your perspective, when you played with Kirby and Kirby like that, what is Kirby doing in response to this kind of game? Like, what are your expectations on how you think he's handling it and other things like that? Like, my thought is this week's going to be bad for players. Like,
no, I think he's handling it very well. Look at it. I mean, we lost that SEC championship last year to Ben and what those guys, so the players actually took. They listen. We're going to get faster. We're gonna be in shape for when they run this. We're going to do things. I think from Kirby's standpoint, again, you come to the locker room. That's me. Look, we could play. We turn the ball over. That's uncharacteristic. And he talked about it. He was just like, you know what? We just got to take care of the football. And they didn't do a very good job of taking care of the football. You say, listen, we've played about as bad as we could play, and let's learn from this, and let's get better. And I think that when you do that, because you have to ask a Lad McConkey or these people that are making these mistakes, did you do that on purpose? Is this going to be no? And then it's like, all right, let it go. Let's build from it, and let's go. So, point, you don't punish a team for being able to and they did, and they didn't fall apart like the Notre Dames did, when they lost, or Alabama as much as they struggled, and look at UNC. UNC probably, I mean, they got bombed by they probably had a different expectation, and so you look at the teams that are supposed to do all these great things and they either lose or barely win. Well, if this is the worst that it's going to get and you still win by 3 scores, earlier in the in the brigade, imagine what it's going to look like when you get a Oregon experience.
I'm telling you right now, there's a couple things, Juan, and we saw it as we got started. Listen, we've been dealing with a lot of early kicks. And people have this feeling that it's kind of hard to get up for a noon game. And sometimes we can say that, but at the same time, right, I think Kirby's got these guys ready to go. I think if you're a Georgia fan, though, here's the good thing. You have a night game in Como this week, and then it was announced that the Deep South's oldest rivalry is the 3:30 game. So in the prime SEC slot, you get to see Auburn get embarrassed, and I love that. I love that very much. It brings me more joy than watching Florida lose.
Yeah.
Yes, leave it there. Obviously, we're going to on our next, on the next episode, we're going to, preview the Missouri game. Listen, we'll talk about their game against Auburn because, listen, it was, if you really wanted to call it this, you could call it the bottom of the bowl. It was bottom of the barrel bowl, if you will. Ugly, ugly football. Ugly football. And it was like, just watching a little bit of it, Juan, it made me feel like neither team wanted to win. Like, it was that bad. It was terrible. Like,
Missouri blew 2 chances. I mean, that's how bad Auburn.
26-yard field goal, wide right. Right in the middle, by the way, too. So it was just one of those things where you're like, how did you miss that? Like, then you sit there and you see they had the game, and then on the 1-yard line, the dude tries to, like, just do something with it and just gave it away, like Michael B says. Literally gave that game away.
Literally handed them that game.
Like, I don't understand how one team could be that bad. Like, in my opinion, like I said, the only meaningful thing about Deep South Southern Rivalry this year could be who's going to replace Harsin after the game. Because if they come into Sanford Stadium and get embarrassed like I think they will, those Auburn fans, those boosters, right, those guys, they're not going to have a problem paying that buyout because they've been waiting to do this for a year now.
This weekend, when Georgia plays Missouri, it'll be a prelude to what's going to happen against. So however bad we smash Missouri, Auburn can expect to get beat by.
Oh, it's going to get ugly. It's going to get ugly. But with that being said, listen, obviously, Saturday was one of those games that you kind of want to forget, but don't forget at the same time because you need that game. The final takeaway for this week and the Kent State game is we're going to grow from this, right? We didn't lose. Let's not bow our heads and act like we lost the game, right? You still won by 3 scores. You played your worst game by far, and it ain't even close, and you still won by 17 points. You learned a lot. Your team grew, and you've got 2 SEC teams that are probably worse than this to just beat up on and bully, right? You're going to see bully ball for the next 2 weeks. I think this will probably be a good time to get our receivers, right? Get our receivers clicking again. I really want to see Kendall Milton have a breakout game running the ball. Not saying that he can't, but Dejon Edwards had himself a game running the ball. Dejon looked like the best running back, and like I said, I'm not knocking or bashing anyone. So please, for the record, I'm not bashing anyone. But Dejon looked like the best back Saturday. I know what Kendall Milton can bring. I've seen it. I'm ready for him to have that breakout game and say, hey, listen, anybody that doubted me, I'm here. And there's no question about it. Like, I'm the man. Yep. Like, I'm the man. Because you've got Kendall and Kenny, and both of them are excellent backs. But I want to see that statement like, anybody that doubted me, shut the fuck up. I want that game. And I'm telling you right now, honestly, I'm not trying to look too far ahead. I want that game to come against Auburn. I don't know if you remember this, Juan. Leonard Fournette, when he was at LSU, had some of the most ridiculous plays in one game against that Auburn team.
They showed that on Twitter not too long ago.
It was absolutely devastating what he did to that Auburn team. It was devastating. I want to see Kendall Milton look like that because I think he can do that. Yeah. And if he does, hey, we knew what he had. You just got to get it done.
Yes, sir.
Got to get it done. I think he can do it. I'm telling you now. I want that highlight for years to come.
Yeah.
Because I can just shit on Auburn with it. It's simple as that.
Yeah, you're right. Excuse me. Absolutely right.
Anyways, it's one of those games, right? We've talked enough about it. Now, good Lord, excuse me. As we wrap this thing up, just keep in mind that the next episode we're going to preview this Missouri game. We're going to do that, and I think you're going to be surprised. There's some names that you might not be familiar with. Luther Burden, that is the team, and we'll talk about that. Also, catch on Wednesday. You'll catch our Week 5 picks, obviously brought to you by BetUS. Listen, it was kind of a rough week, Juan. It was a rough week. Not that we had a problem with it, but some teams cost us, man.
Yeah, they did.
They
Yeah,
did.
they did.
And you'll see that. You'll see the recap there. You'll get our week 5 picks. Got a couple interesting games in there. Listen, some of these marquee matchups are great and all, but I want to throw in some interesting ones that'll make you think a little bit, right? That's what we're trying to get into. But with that being said, Juan, Brigade, thanks for sticking around. We had all these technical difficulties. I swear people were trying to hold us down. We won by 17, folks. We finished strong. I'm just leaving that there.
Yes,
I'm just
indeed.
going to say this. Have a great day. We will see y'all Wednesday, and go Dogs.
Go Dogs.